Hello, everyone. I hope you're doing well. Today, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about how to live as a nomad. There are definitely a lot of questions that people have asked me and that I've just seen in general about what living as a nomad really entails. How does one embark on a nomadic journey? What do you need to do? How do you prepare? So, I want to give you a little bit of insight and kind of answer the question of how to live as a nomad and even how you can do it if that's something that you are interested in doing. So, there are three main things that you have to think about if you want to live nomadically. And the first one of those things is work. Okay, so most of us probably aren't going to be able to take months off from working to travel. If you can do that, that's fabulous. Definitely do that if you have the savings, if you have the time. But for those of us who need to stay working and stay employed, there's I think definitely some question as to like, well, how are you gonna work? So the first thing you have to think about is work, because obviously money is kind of how our world runs and how you survive. You can't really survive if you don't have access to money. So, in most cases, anyway. So, if you already have, I was lucky enough to be in this position of already having work that allowed me to be location flexible because I am a freelancer. So, I don't work in an office. I don't need to be in one particular place to do my job. So I already had that box checked off. But if you don't, and most people don't work in the way that I do, that's something you have to figure out. So if you're working an office job, for example, obviously you're not going to be able to work this job and travel. So you'll have to figure something else out. And that could mean freelancing. That could mean perhaps working if your office or place of employment is flexible. Perhaps working something out where you could work remotely or something like that. You could potentially go into consulting in whatever field that you are currently in. And if you want to do something more humble, you could do that too. You could work jobs living on the road. um, I know somebody who took off to Yellowstone and worked there. So, you can do things like that. And you can even do like temp jobs like that and then save up a little bit and then live on that for a couple months and then go and do another job. You know what I mean? And so you're not working the whole time if that works more for you. So, definitely research kind of like what options exist in your field for working remotely. Because that's something you're going to have to do. And fortunately for me, I already had this taken care of. I didn't have to change anything. And I would say if you are in that position where you can work remotely as well, I would definitely say to consider doing nomadic living even more because it's going to be a lot easier for you to do. Okay, so that's box number one. So the second thing that you need to think about is relationships and dependence. Okay, so if people are depending on you, it's going to be very hard for you to take off, if that makes sense. A good example would be children. If you have children, it's going to be very difficult for you to just take off for however long. And even if you bring them along with you, kids have to go to school and, probably have friends and activities that take place in where you live now. And that would have to be addressed, so it's a lot harder if you have people depending on you to do this than if you don't. Like I'm single and I don't have any children and I don't have any family members depending on me. So I'm in a position where I am the only one who has to make these kind of decisions. And so it definitely works for that, I think, but it's not going to work for everybody. So, definitely evaluate if you are in a position where you're going to be able to do that. And ask yourself, who's depending on you? Who is relying on you? And kind of see if it's possible to do this, with your circumstances. It's probably going to look different for everyone. And, I think you just have to really evaluate really how much said people or person is relying on you. Because, if they're financially relying on you, if they're relying on you for basically all of their needs, living nomadically might not be the best decision, or at least for right now. So definitely, evaluate that and think about also if you could potentially be self-sufficient, how could you get there? Like for example, if you're in the position of being in a relationship, and that relationship is not really something that you're interested in anymore, it's not really serving you, and you are thinking about breaking up, that could be a good time to think about living nomadically. Um, so a lot of those things can, be changed and can be malleable. So definitely just consider all of those different things in kind of the dependence and family category. So the third and final question that you have to answer and ask yourself when wanting to live nomadically is what you're going to do with all your stuff. um, Americans especially have a lot of stuff. We're constantly buying things, and consumerism is really valued here, and a lot of us have more stuff than we know what to do with. We have storage units, we have basements, we have garages, we have attics filled with junk. So something you're going to have to think about is what you're going to do with all that stuff. Now, if you have a home that's your own, you probably aren't going to have to worry so much because you could just store things in your house. But if you live in an apartment, or you're living with family or something like that, and you don't have like a permanent home that you'll be keeping, you need to think about what you're going to do with your stuff. So that might mean getting rid of like almost all of it, just for the stuff that you can take with you. If you're living in your car, it might mean just being able to fill up your car to capacity. I'm in the position personally where my family's home where I grew up, I am actually there now, and I'll be able to store stuff here. So that's great, but I know not everybody's in that position. So definitely, but see, if you have family or friends who might be willing to store some stuff for you. And then if not, you could always also invest in a storage unit if you have the cash for that and you don't want to part with some of your things. But definitely you need to think about stuff. And you have to think about too, like packing. You need to be really strategic about the stuff that you're going to take with you. And you need to really think about what you're going to need. I just had to buy new luggage. So, think about all of those things because your stuff it's going to be so important because you're not going to be able to take much of it and have it at your disposal. So what you decide to take and what you decide to leave and how you decide to leave it is going to be something that you're going to have to answer. So I hope this was helpful. This is a little introduction and kind of the three main points I think that you need to consider when wanting to live nomadically. If you have any questions about nomadic living, feel free to leave them in the comments of this blog or my YouTube channel where this video is posted, and I will talk to you all soon.